I swear to God, I can't stand your ass, man. Wish I never even met your stupid ass, on God.
Man, I hate my ex. Hope you fall down the stairs and you break your neck. Get fired from your job, end up homeless. Hope your new relationship ends over a text. I hope you step on a tack and you stub your toe. Hope your son smokes crack and your daughter's a hoe. Hope your teeth turn black and your hair won't grow. And your dog and your cat, I hope they die in the cold. For real. Fuck your mama, fuck your daddy, fuck your uncle, fuck your auntie, fuck your grandpa, fuck your granny, fuck your whole fucking family. I hope you get a rash from your deodorant. So you musty and I hope you get corona, bitch. Hey, you can tell my ex that they ain't shit. Then forever dead and gone down the drain quick. Fuck the squad, anybody that you came with. Then my bitch drop my hoes for a lame bitch. Hey, man, I hate my ex. What? Huh? Bitch, fuck my ex. Hey, look, man, I hate my ex. And I feel bad for whoever gotta date them next. For real. And I would say I wish you well, but I truly hope you fail. When you step up on the scale, hope it asks if you're well. Bitch, I hope you go to jail. All the food you eat is stale, so you choke until you pale, then you die. Hope you buy a new jewel and you lose that shit. Hope you drown in the pool and your shoes don't fit. Hope they leak out your nudes, all the views you'll get. Damn, I know it sounds cruel, but screw that bitch. Man, I hope you get crabs and you itch your face. Hope you disappoint your dad, yours worst mistake. Hope you go to wipe your ass and a tissue breaks. Doodle finger head ass, I don't miss you skank for real. Hey, you can tell my ex that they ain't shit. Then forever dead and gone down the drain quick. Fuck the squad, anybody that you came with. Then my bitch drop my hoes for a lame bitch. Hey, man, I hate my ex. What? Huh? Bitch, fuck my ex. Hey, look, man, I hate my ex. And I feel bad for whoever gotta date them next. For real. For real. For real. For real. For real.
We on?
We don't.
We motherfucking on. That song is dedicated to Vinyl Ralph and a few of my past peeps too. Fuck them. But I will say, we do not condone hating or dying or killing of dogs or cats. Everybody else can go fuck themselves. What up, everybody? It's What the Fuck Wednesday. I'm your boy Marco, and we are in fucking Upside Down Studios. And well, Mama Stiz is in the shitter, and we got Big Sniz in the fucking house.
What up? What up?
We got motherfucking the clown Brad in the house.
What the fuck is going on, everybody?
On the ones and twos, we got Greg, who is being chivalrous to his wife right now.
What up, y'all?
Kitty cat in the background. Mama Sis is coming back around the corner. All right, we are back.
Everybody's here.
Hi, guys.
So, first off, I'm going to go through the announcements again. Upside Down Studios and Paul Goons LTD are doing a show this weekend, Saturday at the Wick Yards. Look it the fuck up. It's in Youngstown. Come and check us out. We got some good bands coming on there. So yep. And at the same time, I'm going to be bopping back and forth to the East Side Civics in Youngstown also, just on the south side. And I'll be performing there and then coming back. So come and check me out if you can, and then go to the Wick Yards or vice motherfucking versa. Huh. And hopefully, if everything goes well, Upside Down Studios will be doing a lot more, shits at the Wick Yard. So, yeah. That being said, if y'all didn't check the first half of the show, y'all should have. But we'll do a little quick recap. We talked a little bit about the Second Amendment. Jared and I had a little debate over it, but I think we were both understood on that situation. We'll come back to that situation. We also talked about how the Second Amendment and this war applies to our Second Amendment rights right now. Also, we talked about how the companies, big tech companies, and the gas companies, the whole sanction things pulling out, how it has an effect on each side, and what they're actually doing, if it has an effect. And also, we have something we didn't get to talk about on the video, but I do want to bring up here first, is the USA's rejection of air support for the whole Ukrainian war there. They're not only rejecting Poland's, that was the first one, but they're also rejecting. They're pretty much saying that we nobody should give air support to the Ukraine. Now, looking at this from both sides, at first glance, I'm like everybody else. This is some bullshit. It's a bigger country going at the Ukraine, this and that. But then at the same time, I have to look at what went on in the U.S. and kind of not the deep history, but just the kind of the recent history of the U.S. with the Ukraine. So I'm going to start off with this right here. When the Trump administration was in, when Trump was president, he was impeached for holding aid, whatever the fuck, to the Ukraine when they weren't in a war yet, just so he can have assurance of non-corruption. Because if anybody knows anything about the Ukraine before the Zelensky administration, very corrupt country. Very, very corrupt. So Donald Trump said, I want some assurances that this ain't going to be all shady, and decided he was going to hold, some shit for a minute. And he was fucking impeached for that. They made all kind of horse shit. Now that the Ukraine is actually under fire, now that the Ukraine, supposedly this big ally that we had to support, is under, it ain't even fire, it's invasion. We are doing the bare minimum to help our so-called ally. And that's just fucked up to me. That's real fucked up to me. Now, if we look on the other side of the coin, Russia does have a decent argument there. I mean, honestly, they do have a decent argument. It's a dick move what they're doing, but they do have a decent argument. And how can I put this? The Russian ambassador to the UN pretty much shut up the American ambassador by stating that, why are you even speaking with all the wars that you've committed, with all the coups that you've committed, with all the bloodshed that you've committed, just in the benefit of the United States? Which, they weren't wrong. They weren't fucking wrong. You're slinging shit, they're not wrong. Now, again, I'm kind of torn on this issue, and the only reason why I'm on the side of the Ukraine at this moment is because I know people in Russia who are, I firmly believe they told me the truth when I talked to them, and the Ukraine, really, the people that are getting fucked up in this situation, whether they have a corrupt government or not or whatever, it's here nor there. Regular people, regular citizens, children, elderly people, those are the ones that are being taken out. Totally. Again, I watch both sides. I watch Russian news, and I haven't watched too much American news because I'm just tired of the bullshit. But German DW, the Australian Sky News, I've been watching a lot of Indian news from Pakistan, and just around the world, because they're not going to front about it. There is a lot of stuff that people don't know or see, but again, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, I could see kind of if what Russia is pushing, and history has said, they're telling the truth. They're just kind of throwing it all together now. But, what Russia is pushing is, one, Ukraine was corrupt. Two, that the Ukrainians have a certain area there that they were constantly fighting over, which is true. And you're at war. So each side is kind of playing into the atrocities, but both sides are doing atrocities. War is war. That goes back to my argument with the Geneva Convention. There is no right or wrong in war. When you decide to have war, is for whatever reason, bad shit is happening. You know, there is no, excuse me, there is no, oh, well, this person fucking waterboarded this person. Okay, well, this person hung a person from the helicopter. All fucked up shit, but it's in war. You know, how are you going to tell somebody how to kill somebody? Now, again, I think that because these are more, I don't want to say civilized people, but I guess we'll say modernized people. I think that's why the world is more in arms about it. But again, looking at the other side of the story, looking at the arguments for the governments and the countries that are actually supporting Russia, there are wars going on right now that have been going on for years,
Right.
that nobody gives a shit about.
Right.
You know, there's rapes and pillaging and, you know, all and it's medieval style, that nobody gives a fuck. Not the EU, not Germany, not nobody, not the United States, nobody. Nobody gives two shits about that. And it is, you know, it's happening in the litter box. It's happening in Africa. It's happening in Asia. You know, all over. So, one of the biggest things out there right now, and this is common sense no matter what, Russia not only is one of the biggest countries, one of the, actually once upon a time was the second in the nation's or world's global fucking nuclear shit. But they also came up in their trade. They also came up in their commodities. Where they failed in a lot of other places, you know, they have become a necessity in countries for oil, for I think it was called, what's the shit that they grow stuff with? Potash? Is that what it is? Potash?
Not sure about that, but there's all kinds of minerals.
Nickel, palladium. They are the world's supplier of nickel and palladium. You know, they are the number one supplier, which are big fucking things in our car industry. A few other resources that have become necessities, especially in our so-called technological shit. You know, and not to mention that the other counterpart to that, the Asians, China, are backing them. So, I mean, in the whole global scheme of things, once, you know, everybody's looking at how they're being, like Russia's being sanctioned by all the, you know, the banks, and we got big tech companies leaving there. We got like McDonald's and shit talking about leaving there and all that stuff.
Oh, the last one closed today.
You got to look at, okay, well, and I've seen this from an interview today with the Russian defense minister. People don't realize what happens when Russia starts cutting off the world to the shit that they supply. Not only gas, you know, because it isn't only the few things that I have mentioned. And the few things I have mentioned are essential things in America, like in America, and a lot of other more modern fucking shit. People don't get that. People don't realize that. So, I hate to say it, I kind of in a way understand a little bit on if Biden is thinking that way. You know, if we cut off certain shit with Russia, then they might cut off certain shit with us.
Right.
But, again, I would rather, and I'm sure our country would rather be behind a couple years in the newest cars, or behind, you know, a couple years in the newest microchip or the newest whatever, because I guess Russia is the biggest producer of fertilizer also. So
Really?
yeah. So I would rather be low on that shit than low on gas. And I'm sure there's a lot of these snowflakes out there who are going to use that, you know, well, this, and this, and then fuck the gas or whatever.
They've already said it.
Yeah.
Like CNN and stuff has already started polling their diehard listeners and viewers, which are extremely far left, and they're saying, our people are saying that, they don't mind paying slightly higher gas prices to, put Putin in his place and this and that, and they're already programming
That's
us.
how it always starts. Just like the argument with, the same people are bitching about, $4 gas or paying $5 for a cup of coffee. First of all, it's our choice to pay that, because we could always go down the street to the local gas station and get the same better tasting coffee for $2. That is the great thing about our country here. We could not have to fucking pay that. We go somewhere else. If we do pay that, it's because of our own shit. But this is something that we have to pay for. The price of milk going up, we have to pay for. The price of beef going up, we have to pay for. That's not
Fucking
a choice.
chicken wings.
Oh,
Right?
chicken wings are
Holy
phenomenal.
shit.
Dude.
We went from 10 cents a wing to $1.25
Or more.
a fucking
It's market
wing.
value. Like they sell fresh. Like we're from Annapolis, so like during the summertime, like fresh seafood, like restaurants on the water.
Right.
Their fresh seafood that's caught that morning. It's always on the menu at market price because you don't know what it's gonna be that day, right? Chicken wings are marked on menus now at market price. Like it could change. It changes every day, bro.
Right. I seen it. I got kids who love fucking wings. I fucking seen it.
I can't tell you. I went to a restaurant that actually has wings in the title, and I won't name it, but they told me.
Yep.
They told me that the wings were a different price, blah blah blah, and I was like, all right, cool, because I really wanted some wings.
Wait a second. On that, have you noticed that boneless wings are cheaper than
Yes.
regular wings? Because it's not fucking that.
No, they're
But-
chicken nuggets.
Right.
So
That
they're
is the hot
scrap
dog
chicken
of the
boiled
fucking
together.
chicken.
Yep. But I get these wings, and listen, I'm willing to pay the extra because I'm craving these wings. I want them. You better serve me some goddamn good wings. They better be damn good. I'm paying it. I'm not bitching about it.
Well, that goes back
dry, fucking crunchy, nasty. What in the world did you just? And I just paid for that
Well,
extra.
That goes back to, like, remember back in the day, if you wanted some wings or whatever, you stop at a cheap wing place, but down the street the other wing place has better wings, so I'll pay like a couple cents more. Now it ain't even that. It's all of them are the same fucking, everything is going through the roof, and whether it's shitty wings or good wings, you still paying $1, anywhere from $1.25 to $1.50 for wings, and that's eat in. Try to take that wing out the door.
Right.
Try to take you might as well fucking take a bald eagle out the fucking door.
You right.
And it's happening. Not only did I see it, like I said, with wings, but I've seen it with fucking with milk. And I talked to somebody that I know who works on a dairy farm, and it isn't so much of the biggest thing that's fucking them and that's making the prices go up. It's transportation, and it goes back to the gas. So as many subsidies or whatever, we got the farms. We can make our own milk. We can make our own eggs. We can make our own beef or whatever. Hey, Trump fucking proved that shit. But if I can't get that fucking egg to your house or your local fucking market in a reasonable price, then what happens? Gotta fucking up the price. That means that fucking, dozen of eggs that cost you $1.50 is now costing you whatever gas prices is. And then, the solution that we're getting fed is, one, either deal with it, or two, buy an electric vehicle. Which we all know they've been trying to push.
Right.
Well, I'm comfortable in my life more than most people, especially where I come from, and I still cannot afford a $60,000 electric vehicle.
Not a lot of us can.
The other thing I want to bring up is those same people, they love to bitch about people like Elon Musk having too much fucking money, but yet they want to tell you to run out and spend $60,000 on a fucking Tesla so we can all have, green cars.
Yeah. And going on that thought right there, that goes back to my thoughts with the people who oh, the industrial complex and all these corporations, this and that. You know what? I've said it before and I'll say it again. Anybody, especially, if you have a goal in life, anybody who starts their own company, anybody who starts their own business or just tries to make it out on their own, being self-sufficient, all aspire to be what those companies that they fucking hate are. A perfect example, and I snapped on fucking Ryan out in Cleveland, a good friend of mine. He tries to be an entrepreneur or whatever, but he is constantly talking shit about this industrial complex or whatever. You, my friend, are trying to be part of that. So how are you downing what you are trying to be a part of? Nobody likes the fact that you might have to step on a few toes to get to the top. Nobody likes that you might have to step on a few necks to get to the top. Everybody will talk shit about how that corporation, but until they own their own shit, they don't fucking realize some things you gotta do just because you gotta do it, right or wrong. The best thing you can do for poor people is not become one.
Right.
It's that easy. So I never down any of these big companies. I never down any of these big corporations or whatever, because in the end of it all, I want to be one of them. I want to be one of those, whatever the hell. I'm not saying I'm going to treat my people the same way, but nobody knows the circumstances of everything. Nobody knows what goes out, what comes in, all that shit. All we get is that, sob story. Or these people who inherit money or whatever. If Jared starts a company right now, we'll say he's making widgets. And in 5 years, that company goes from just being in his house to being in a little mom and pop store in the corner. 10 years, it goes from that little mom and pop store to a bigger store, maybe the size of a Giant Eagle. And now he can employ people. And in 20 years, now he has franchises. Now, say he's 80 years old. Now he has franchises all over America, and he decides to leave that to his kid. Number one, who in the fuck has the right to say all that blood, sweat, and tears that Jared put into his job, oh, I didn't do anything, but he owes me.
Right.
That's the first thing that pisses me off. And second
Agreed.
of all, his kids, if he leaves that shit to his kids, how are you going to down his fucking kids if they got the money that his family busted their ass for?
Yep.
Yeah, they might not have, but somebody once upon a time did it the right way. And
Right.
they did it. Nostrovia.
Pros.
Cheers.
So I really can't stand that shit.
Me neither. The problem is when either the kid or the family doesn't have the same vision that the person who started it has, or I have worked for people who, when they started the business, they were the diehard. I worked for a small well drilling company that the guy who started it was one of the hardest workers you'll ever meet. But by the time his son got into it, his son loved to party. He loved to be out all night, and he could get contracts signed and keep us work, but he didn't run the business well. He had never done any of the work. He'd always been in the office.
Well, that's not what I'm talking. I'm talking about these people out here who aren't doing dick that say that.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
So there are people out there that see that, and they think that is how all of it is. That it's just these lazy people that don't do anything, that are making all this fucking money hand over fucking fist. You know what I mean? And so they're mad. They're jealous. They don't know how to identify those emotions. And so it just turns into the most basic of, really, people have gotten so, I think the biggest problem with society is people have gotten so intellectually weak. Nobody can actually think anymore. People don't understand anymore.
People need their
people don't
phones
understand
too
basic
fucking much.
psychology and how to deal with other people and how sometimes you have to meet people at different
Well,
levels.
see, adding on to that, at the same time, you're absolutely right. You're totally fucking right. But at the same time, they're being told they're intellectually superior.
in some way, in some instances, but I just think it's just led so much to. I
mean,
think
'cause
it's
even
so
if-
many. I think from like my old there's even a difference between my oldest kid and my youngest kid's generation,
Yeah.
and somewhere in between my 24-year-old and my 13-year-old is the line where it kind of changed.
A lot changed.
And I don't know exactly why, and I'm still trying. I'm still researching, and I have thoughts and gut feelings, but I don't have enough information to back
what
them
I'm
up.
getting at is the one thing that doesn't change though is the haterism. That seems like one of the cyclical things that you always talk about. The seasons almost.
I think it has
Because-
changed. I think haterism's gotten worse because I think that flame is fanned when I told you, like. Remember my joke that haters are just groupies that couldn't make the cut,
Right,
And
right,
groupies are usually people that just couldn't be the musician they really wanted to be, and they just don't have either the work ethic or the talent, so they become groupies. And then haters are the ones that couldn't even make the cut as groupies, so they just hate on everything. You know what I mean? They can't be part of your circle, so they're going to be like, "Fuck you." Or they're people for whatever reason, just naturally, whatever reason, didn't like you and want to see you.
Well, see, here's the difference between what you're talking about, what I'm talking about. Each one of them instances you said at least has a reason. There are
Well, I was
people out
getting to
here
what-
that, I mean, again, there is just this mentality in the world, but
Laziness,
especially in America.
laziness
that-
is being bred, and to tie all the things like the psychology part of it I was talking about, and all that, to tie that all together, laziness is being bred, and it has been over generations. And then there's this level of a sort of entitlement
Yes.
that, and this is where I started talking about, and everybody jumped my shit last week about the other week about public schools. The curriculum that's coming through these schools is part of what teaching these kids and opening up their ideas and pumping into them about universal income and the government supporting. As I've been doing,
There's an agenda there.
we do a blended type of homeschool with my son that we homeschool. There's portions of it that we do use in online school. Since we did it mid-year, it was just a lot easier to do it that way to satisfy the school board and to keep everything
Right.
legal and whatnot. But the other portion of it, we come up with, through other resources, we come up with the curriculum on our own. And I'm constantly having to, especially through history, mainly the history classes, kind of re-explain the same lesson to him after he's turned it in, re-explain the same lesson to him from either one or two different vantage points so that he understands
Well,
it completely,
and
because
I remember
the
like,
way
and I'm
they're
glad you
painting
brought
it,
this
the
up.
way they're painting a lot of things. We just did a section on Rome, the entire Roman Empire. And they really glorified and highlighted the section of Rome where, when it was first taken over and it became a dictatorship and was no longer a republic.
Right.
When people there were two classes of people. The high society had a certain part of the government, and then you could elect lay people in to keep a check and balance. There were judges. They had the first executive, judicial, like we have a 3-branch government. They kind of were the first to have that. Well, that went away, and they became a dictatorship. They
Right.
didn't come from dictator to vote. They went the opposite direction. At first, and the history book was glorifying this. It was terrible about how when Rome was first taken over, how the emperor, was so for the people and saw their needs and provided everything for them, and really romanticized that if you put the right person in charge, because my son even said to me, he's like, "Dad, this doesn't sound bad." I said, "Son, this is
Right.
socialism.
Well,
This doesn't
well,
sound.
see,
It doesn't sound bad on paper. It sounds great." I said, "But let's read a little further." And they didn't even get to how bad it got. I had to
This is
go
where
to
I had a
other
problem
resources
with
to show him
what you said,
how
though.
that actually was the start of the decline.
Right.
of the Roman Empire.
And what you're teaching your kids is not only the truth, but is right. Problem is, and this is what I try to get to you before. Especially in this country, there is a certain structure, a certain hierarchy, a certain way things run. No matter what outside knowledge or no matter what truth you bring into it, it still runs in this ABC type of world. And if you go D, E, or F, yeah, you may be right, you may be whatever the fuck, but you're pretty much an outcast from everything else. So, in going to the mainstream schools, you learn how to live mainstream, right or wrong.
Right.
And just like we all learned after the fact about how the real shit really happened, because again I had regular schooling. Everything I know now and all my critical thinking and everything came way after. Everything I think now was never taught in my schools, but I was taught to function in the society that believes that. Now, homeschooling, again, first of all, there are a lot more homeschooling things that were before, in that previous talk that I was had with you. There are a lot more people that are a lot more attentive than back when I was coming up. So, the homeschooling has changed a lot. But a big problem, again, with that homeschooling is you are giving knowledge way before it is to be used. And it sounds kind of jacked up because I did it to my kids.
You're going to have to clarify that because I don't understand what you mean by that.
Right.
So,
yeah,
so the history, like my daughter, here, I'll use my daughter for example. Both of them, actually, because they're same grade. When they brought up history, and they brought up things like, Rome, for instance. Same shit that was taught to them is what you were talking about. Now, as I started bleeding in truth to that, and bleeding in everything that Jared just said, because he is absolutely right, that fucked them in their test. Not only fucked them in their test, but fucked them in their whole kind of situation in that class.
Right.
Now,
Can I say one thing before we move?
Go ahead.
That's why, if you noticed what I said was, we did his unit, he turned his work in. So he did his
And then you did
assignment,
after.
he did his test, and then
But-
him and
but
I did
my
a follow-up
daughter-
to show
but
him
my kids go to
clarify.
public schools. So this is how that affects it in the public school range. Whereas
I thought we were talking about homeschool. That's what I mean.
It's both. I'm making a comparison. Because the knowledge you imparted on your kid at this age is fine now. But in the structure of everything that is rolling, what I told my kids, which is pretty much the same thing, fucks them. But in the end of it all, like it or not, the structure that is there is what is going to lead in society, whereas the structure that you are talking about is it's almost like white collar and blue collar. So
you've completely lost me.
I mean,
all right. Well, I'm gonna see. We'll start with Greg and then Joyce, and we'll go back to Jerry.
okay.
All right, so we're talking about homeschooling and actually being in school. That's the topic now, right?
Right.
All right.
And I mean, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Jared and I had a debate about whether
He was here. It was on the
homeschool
show.
I'm sure he.
Oh, you were
For
pretty
everybody
lit.
else, Jared and I had a debate whether homeschool and regular school, what's the difference in the advantages and disadvantages. And I had a very outdated idea of homeschooling, but there's still I still have thoughts on them all. I just don't doubt it as much, but there's other shit. But go ahead, Greg.
All right, let me ask you something. Do you think sitting at home on your goddamn computer, on your goddamn cell phone, whatever the case may be, you have learned more life lessons than what you did working hands-on on something?
No, and there's a difference between life lessons and the lessons that you need to learn to go through your academics. And it took me a minute to figure that out.
I understand the academics, but here's the thing. Everybody in this new generation, and probably in the last 10 generations, doesn't have that hands-on.
I think it's.
I agree with
opposite.
you to an extent.
I believe, especially
right.
with the pandemic thing that went around, it gave a lot of kids that life lesson, that homeschool, that real world type shit, which is good on on one part,
Right.
but it kind of fucked their academics. Whereas the opposite that has went on forever, the academics kind of fucked the whole real life
Right.
aspect.
So let me put it to you this way, all right? So everything now, your problem is academic, right? Right now, everything is academically about to fall on his goddamn face.
I agree with that
Yeah.
too.
Okay, so the only thing we have
I don't-
in life situations to survive.
What do you mean it's about the? I don't understand. You have to clarify that because I don't necessarily agree with that. That everything we have academically is about to fall on its face. We
kinda
better
goes-
still be churning out doctors and surgeons, and you need school for that.
Yeah, but if you look at, I think I know where Greg is coming from, because if you look at especially the past 3 years, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I mean, there are some parents out there that have done their damnedest to, make shit right, but didn't nobody learn too much of dick over this pandemic and this homeschool shit. Not only that, but it's gotten to the point where there are certain states that are just letting motherfuckers just get their diploma, whether they pass or not. Now, I can understand that maybe in a history or a social studies or something like that. But when you have no math, no reading, no fucking any of these other skills, you are at the bare minimum, and they're still saying you're okay to pass just because.
You know the one that
that's
pisses me off
bullshit.
the most, more than any.
That's where you're getting into the problem of homeschooling.
No, well,
Because
well, see, no, that's the way I argued with Jared at first, because when we were coming up, homeschooling was more of it was a way for the parents to get out of their asshole kids and fucking up at
that
school.
wasn't the point
But there
back
are a
then.
lot of parents now that are, and I had to do research on this, there are a lot of parents that have put in that effort now, and that have put in that, so I can't group all the homeschool kids in that. But you're absolutely right.
No, here's the thing. The homeschooling came from kids with ADHD and
It
all
was
that
the
shit.
fuck ups that, they didn't
No,
want at
it
the
was
school.
The kids that couldn't fucking focus, alright? So they needed to be in a more comfortable situation, alright? Now listen, and here's the thing. That's all fine and good. I totally understand that. But we have taken that and we have run it to the fucking extreme.
Yes. I don't agree with the first
How
part
have
of
we
that,
run
but
it to the extreme? And I seriously
How-
question you guys a lot because how
Okay,
many
well,
homeschoolers do you
here, I'll
know?
put it to you
How
this
much
way.
about homeschooling do you actually know that go like
I
what it
still
is
had a
today?
point.
well,
Just saying.
and Jared has a good wait a second.
And I'm only
Jared has
asking.
a
I'm
good
not
point.
fighting. I am
I'll
asking.
put it to you this way. I'm dealing with an honorable fucking student when he was in fucking school. Honorables. And when I say honorables, I ain't talking about he was late way a B. No, this cat was A's. 100%
Gotcha.
in every fucking class. As soon as we hit homeschool, it got fucking boring to him.
Homeschool or remote learning?
Yeah, there's a difference. And
Oh.
that's what I was about to bring up.
Both.
Then the
Then-
homeschooler's not doing it right.
Then I'm going to piss people off here because if you're doing a traditional homeschool and the school is boring to your kid, then you as
That's
the
on
home
you.
educator need to change up what you're doing.
Yeah,
you're
you're not
doing
doing it
something
right.
wrong. And
doing it right.
I, as much as I say that to other people, I don't mean to offend because in this transition that we've gone through, I started off one way. I've been through about half a dozen different approaches and different ways of doing things to finally find what's starting to work. So I don't say that on a pedestal, bitching or like preaching.
No, I'm
you know what I
seeing
mean.
more
I
of what Greg is saying.
I
It's
fucked
like
up
the
in the
remote-
beginning too and had to learn. But that is what I say. If it's a traditional homeschool where you're not relying on having to be, in Zoom calls in class, like the remote learning was. If it's not like remote learning.
Well, see, I think
Because
that's
the
where it's
difference,
getting mixed
I'm
up, though.
gonna make. Hold on, wait. I'm gonna make a definition difference. There is homeschool, then there is school at home. If it's school at home and he's bored, I completely fucking understand. But if it's homeschool and he's bored, or she's bored, whatever, then the person in charge of the home educating needs to take a different approach.
I think
Right,
I would have
right.
got my
Because
ass beat.
once I
if
started
was
letting my
homeschooled.
kid lead what he learns, no, I don't mean he makes up the lessons.
No,
But he
no.
gives the direction of.
What I think Greg is getting at is because the same thing I ran into. Like Julia and Maya were A students until they went to remote.
The kid looked at me and said, listen, there is no challenge. Okay? So, instead of arguing with one person with what the answer to the fucking question might be, you got 12 motherfuckers that you're arguing with. That's the fucking difference.
What do you mean? Where'd the 12 come from?
A classroom.
Well,
Well, that's
in the remote-
25, but-
well, again, like
Okay,
Jer-
we'll say 12 plus.
well,
But what I'm saying is,
Greg,
What does that have to do with the
difference is-
homeschool kid being bored?
Well, no, he's still looking at it the way I used to look at it.
So, as the homeschooler, challenge them.
Okay, so again, we have taken
And one teacher in a room with 25 kids can't challenge 25 kids.
Is what I'm telling you. And that's where we're at right now.
No, the problem is we've tried to take kids and we've tried to force them into a factory of learning, and not every kid learns the same. The problem isn't homeschool, the problem's public school.
All right. So I'm gonna.
Go, Joyce.
Yeah,
She's
let
been
Let
good.
Joyce go, and then I'm a elaborate on all this, and we're gonna go to break.
Okay. Wow, that was so much. So, the thing with homeschooling, okay, you know your kid better than anyone. If you don't seriously know how to relate with your kid, how to give them information, you shouldn't homeschool. Like, you're supposed to know your kid. Everybody learns differently. So every successful homeschooler knows how to tailor what's needed and required by the state to your kid in a creative way. And that's fucking hard. Homeschooling's hard to do it the right way. When I was growing up, homeschooling meant you got pregnant, you were going to jail, you were like, that was homeschooling when I grew up. So it has changed a lot, and so I see why you say that and why you have that opinion, Marco. But nowadays, it's like an art form, the way people have transformed it into something that's successful and beautiful and wonderful when they do it the correct way.
Because so many people.
The remote way was horrible, and I understand that it is what it is. They did what they did. I don't even care. But the thing with teaching your kids what's on the test and what the school is teaching you versus what really happened, you know, it's just like
issues.
it's just it does create issues, but you can handle it in this way. Kids understand that people cuss. They also understand that people cuss and other people don't like it. Like, they know it's bad. That's been formed in everybody's head. Cussing is bad. So I know when Jared was growing up, his family handled it like that was TV talk. That was what they called it. Mm-hmm. So you didn't say TV talk out in public because it was not okay. So take that small example and put it into, listen, this is what your school is teaching you and this is what's on the test. But they have to cover so much information. They're only giving you the bare little bit of information to pass your test. So pass your test. But I want you to understand that this is what really happened in our history, and this is who we are as a people. So when you take that test, answer the way they taught you, but understand this is real life.
Right.
You know what I mean? School becomes TV talk.
I totally agree with that, and that I'm gonna elaborate on everything now. First of all, as far as what Jared and Greg were saying, I believe Greg has the same outlook on it that I used to have before I did a little bit more research in it. Because, again, I had a daughter that was, her mom wanted to homeschool her because she got bullied. And that pissed me off. Oh, my God, that pissed me off for so many other reasons. But we're not going to get into that. But anyways, when, she got homeschooled, it was pretty much like a remote learning. It was fuck off time. You do what you got to do. And, there was no learning involved in that. Now, mind you, being at home, you learn certain life lessons, that maybe some other kids, don't learn until they're older. Whatever. pros and cons,
The fuck
but there was
pro?
more cons than
Why
pros.
don't I get a shot?
Now, if we look at it nowadays, where homeschooling is an actual thing instead of, you know, your kid got pregnant or your kid's an asshole in school or some shit like that. Now it's we have people actually giving an effort. There's a big difference.
Right.
Now, a lot of people think that when they went to remote learning, that was the same thing as homeschool, and it wasn't. Totally wasn't.
No.
You know, and I am a big example of that. I had no part in any of that learning or any of that bullshit when the remote learning was going on. They did their classes, they had to do their certain things, and that was it. It was like, you know, watching a YouTube video. Now, again, pros and cons and everything. I feel like, you know, this, especially the next 4 or 5 generations, are going to be dumb fucks just because they were pushed along the way over a video game because of a pandemic. You know, it might be up to our homeschoolers to actually carry the weight of these idiots. Now, the big problem is, and it happened on both ends, but it happens more with the homeschoolers, is, you know, again, everything's built on a structure, which, right or wrong, you know, we all think it's wrong, but still, that is the way it is. We have to live within them confines. You don't learn that. You know, if I tell my kid right now that this, and this is there only because of corruption or bad shit, then they're going to totally hate the whole system that they need to use to survive. Now, again, you have to come at it, and as parents, fuck school. As parents, we have to be able to tell our kids, okay, this is what they're going to teach you. This is what really happens. This is what you can and cannot say to survive. Doesn't mean you are, you know, restrained from having any knowledge. It doesn't mean you are, you know, any of that has to stop. But you need to know how to survive in certain situations, right or wrong.
Correct. What does this have to do with homeschooling versus?
Well, because a lot of times when you're in homeschooling, especially you and I, the way we teach our kids, this is the way it is. This is the truth. Fuck everybody else.
That's not the way I teach my kid.
found out that, you know, when you tell people that shit, especially as a youngin, unless
Right.
you're
So we can
established,
agree
that's
that the
not
problem
cool.
isn't homeschooling. It's the homeschooler.
Well, can I ask a question?
No, I'm thinking it's not the homeschooling or the homeschooler. It's more of
Let Brad
more of we have to go have a break and we will be back.
No,
Wait, can Brad ask his question?
No, I'm good. I'm
we're
good.
gonna go out on
break.
Brad.
No,
Come
no.
back
Ask
with
your
that.
question.
Ask us so you don't forget.
All right, I don't have kids, so I have to ask this question. I've never been homeschooled either, so I don't know.
Okay.
When you're homeschooled, do you get the normal books that they give out in class and shit
Can I answer,
for the
please?
classes you go to
Yeah, because you guys
from
Okay.
school?
There are different ways to homeschool, and you can pick a curriculum that you want to teach. That's
Okay.
you say you buy a 7th grade spelling book on Amazon.
All right.
That's spelling. Same thing. Everything with history. You know, all the same things.
You
can create your curriculum, and then and make sure it's approved, or you can. There's a ton of like online type.
Can I help? Yes.
But
there's a
like
ton of online now. But
okay,
back in the day, yeah,
if
hold on,
I was
hold on.
homeschooled,
Do you
I
want
went to.
answered?
You're not understanding.
Yes, I am. Do you
the
want fucking
fucking
answer?
question.
Shut the fuck up.
I want to go to break, so make this quick.
Back in the day, and it always depended on where you were, but back in the day, yes, you could get the same kind of, you get the exact same stuff from the school that was being taught in the school if you wanted it. Nowadays, it's easier and more places do it.
To either go online or make up your own curriculum. Either way, when I homeschooled my girls, they still had to sit through state testing to prove that they were on mark.
Still do.
And provide that information to the superintendent of schools to make sure that you're not just saying you're homeschooling and fucking off.
All right.
So there's still benchmarks,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of room for.
The big example is old school TV and TV now. And with that being said, we're going to take a break, and I'll explain that shit when we come back.
Okay.
get down on the ground. 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 Get down on the ground.
We are back.
We're
And
back.
We switched this subject up to the whole generational female male thing and
Relationships
gender roles
and
and
what
shit
y'all
like
are
that.
doing out there today.
and
What a bitch is.
my whole I
What a
started this
bitch
off
is.
with saying that when I treated females in what I feel like now, and I feel like I'm brainwashed now, but when I treated females less desirable, I was treated 1,000 times better. And when I started treating women with what is called now respect or whatever the fuck,
Walked on.
I was not only walked on, but treated
sure.
like shit.
Well, you're
And this
dealing
is
with
where
some different
let me say this, because this is where motherfucking females have overstepped. This is where they have gone too far. Because I'm going to tell you, yes, I'm old school. Okay, I'm old school. I believe in spoiling my man. He's my king. He is my world. And when I do for my man, he does for me. And I feel like, okay, the female species, ladies, you have no idea the power you hold. And you're starting to realize, but you're misusing it. You're acting like petty bitches. It's stupid. Stop it. You have the honor. And you can be queens. You have the ability to run things. However,
Wait a second. I want to add on something that
Okay.
from a man's perspective.
Go ahead.
This woman is absolutely right. A woman can take the strongest, the most fearless,
strongest,
the most cunning man and break him down to his lowest point.
Lowest point.
Lowest point.
And that is where we have gone wrong. Because we have been so selfish. Because we break these men down to their lowest point and then we use them. And we get what we want out of them. You're fucking leech. That's nasty. That's a parasite. Baby girl, you've been born for better than that. That is not what we were meant to do. You were meant. No, stop. No.
Say what you say. I'm only.
All right, cool. I was going to say you were. We're going to fight. Okay. We were meant to be the queens of this. Yes, we were meant to see it all, run it all, and support the men who then go out and make that happen. Okay, everybody has different opinions. This one's mine. But if you're truly supporting your man and actually like lifting him up and being that person, that's like symbiotic. That's the way this world was meant to be. Now, it doesn't matter what his role is, whether he's staying at home and you're working, or whether he's working and you're staying at home, or whether you're both working. You guys are partners. You're to be together in this shit and fighting the world together, because that is the only way you're going to make it. And all this petty bullshit is, dude, that's some undealt with issues that like has nothing to do with your relationship, and you need to go there.
All right,
that's all I'm saying.
We're gonna go to Greg and then we're gonna go to Jared.
A lot of the problem is you come from a generation of relationships making it work. You know what I mean? You have mediocre problems today compared to some of the problems we had back then. But anyway, they're mediocre compared to what they were back then. You know what I mean? In today's society, I have to have my safety bubble. I have to have my safety spot. You know what I mean? And that's where all these men are getting. They're getting ignored, but they're not. You know what I mean? They have a job. They have a reputation to uphold. You understand what I'm saying? And that's where our society kind of fucked up on shit, because you know that's where you had a lot of men losing their minds and doing stupid shit. And
I think the dog agrees with you.
Right. So basically, taking the generation that we're from and understanding like your parents' generation, everything that you did was wrong. Everything was, you know, you needed to do this, you needed to do that. The thing is times change, which anybody want to adopt a fucking pit bull?
Women want to fight women. Stop it.
But anyhow, like I said, you know,
support each other. Be queens.
Right. It's not about who can be the better sex. It doesn't matter. You need to get to the situation that, you know what, you live one fucking life and you're gone.
Right. Mind your damn business and build your own.
Yeah,
right.
I think that's jumping off topic, though. Go ahead.
No,
Jared.
it's not, because it's going from the old generation to today's generation.
Right.
We had one thing right and one thing wrong, and now we're on the totally opposite of the fucking seesaw here. And
there's a lot of things that led to that, and I'm gonna let Jared go, and then I'm gonna elaborate on everybody.
I think part of it, because part of what he said, definitely what she said, and every time we have these talks, when I always say, everybody, you know, always goes, the problem is, and they give their opinion. I'm usually the one that goes, it is so multifaceted that there's more than just one thing.
Right.
I think one of the big things, though, is people are no longer individual. They are, but they don't act like they are, or they don't realize they are, and they don't work for it. But people are responsible for their own individual happiness. And they bring, that's what I was saying about your own undealt with, you were right on that own dealt with issue. Your happiness is up to you. It is not your partner's job to make you happy. It's your partner's job to support you when you're down, to encourage you when you're down, to support you on your journey to your happiness.
Right.
You know, to be your partner in your happiness, to be a part of it. You know, but ultimately, your happiness is up to you, and your partner's happiness is up to them. And then when you both, you know, are actively doing that for yourselves, when you combine together, the problem is, right, you keep bringing people keep bringing baggage to relationships, and they've learned bad coping skills, and they've learned, you know, hey, instead of fixing it, let's get revenge. You know, we had a breakdown in communication, and somebody cheated on somebody, and so I'm gonna go fuck her sister instead of, like,
That's the way it normally goes, too.
and that's what we're saying is wrong.
Right.
You need to be responsible because that person, their significant other was the source of their happiness, and when that spoiled, so did their happiness.
Damn fucking right about that.
You need to be that source for yourself and bring that light to
100%.
the relationship, whether it's a friendship, a business partnership, a romantic relationship, any kind of relationship.
Bring something positive to it, not damage only.
Now that doesn't mean that you don't help help your peeps out when everybody has down times or everybody has times they're off track. But you can't. Gravitating towards a person isn't going to fix you. It's going to be fun and new and enjoyable for a while, and the dopamine levels in your brain are going to be sky high, and you're not going to remember any of the shit that was wrong. But the second that newness wears off and the buzz of that new drug is gone, that person is now, you've now sucked every good thing out of that person. Right. And then now you're back to that same miserable son of a bitch, so you just create the cycle again. He doesn't make me happy. She doesn't make me happy. Go make yourself happy, motherfucker.
All right, so were you done with that? You done with that thought?
Yeah, we're out of Red Bull News, Mom.
All right, so first I'm going to address what Joyce said. There are a lot of women out there who are vindictive like that, but I'm not going to lie because I've created quite a few of them. A lot of them women are created by situations, just like men are created from situations.
But they're grown-ass adults, Marco, and they have a choice.
Right. I get that. We all have choices on shit, and them choices seem like, you know, they are so hard to some people when they're not.
But and they are.
They are.
But at some point, you're living in it. Now fucking rise from it.
Right.
Who are you as a person? Fucking stand up, bitch.
But then
you're a queen. Rise up.
Then the choice becomes whether to do it or not whether to, you know, whatever the actual problem is. What I'm looking at is more of, especially in the situation-wise, the whole thing that brought this up was women, I have found, and I've been through quite a few, have treated me a lot better when I was that alpha asshole more than when I was what they claimed to be wanted.
Right. Because they're damaged.
And
Because they want to try and... I'm going to be the one
Yeah.
that's going to make him change.
Right,
I'm going to
right.
fix him.
But
I'm going to...
again-
He's so hurt. I feel so bad. I'm going to put
This
all
is
this
where
I'm
we
not
into
quite
him.
sure where Greg was coming from, though, because, again, you know, we were brought up in a generation to glorify womanizing.
I'm from your same generation, and I was not taught that.
That was changed, like, you know, and again, you know, it isn't an all-the-time thing, because, you know, Greg has a wife now, where he was brought up in the same situation I was.
Marco, you were raised in a home of a womanizer. Greg wasn't raised. I wasn't raised that way.
I was raised in a home
when I
with a
broke out
woman.
into my wild days, I wasn't always necessarily looking to go womanizing. I honestly,
Well, I never
like
really
me
wanted
personally,
to either.
I
just
preferred
kinda-
to
I
actually
realized
have
I was.
I preferred to have a girlfriend until after enough time went by and enough, you know, damage and enough, you know.
I didn't want to be a womanizer.
That it was just like, hey, yeah, I'm cool if somebody wants to party, but I don't want anybody.
Hey, Greg. I'm next, by the way.
Me, I'm an equal. I grew up
You know, like you said, I didn't grow up in a womanizer home or anything like that. But I was raised in a home that my energy is going to raise yours. Alright, so if you come at me with one energy, I'm going to step it up.
Right.
So if you come at me with love, then guess what? I'm going to step that love up another fucking step.
For sure.
You come at me with some bullshit, trust me, I'm going to step it up the next fucking notch, if not 5 more.
Mine was similar, but mine was always
I was
anger and negative.
But here's the thing, alright? A woman, and no disrespect, nothing like that, but a woman is going to show you how she wants to be treated.
Oh, 100%.
And she's going to show you one fucking time.
She'll show you, but she'll tell you a totally opposite thing.
No, she's going to show you one fucking time what she wants. Alright? You need to fucking pay attention. Because once you miss it that one time, it ain't going to be explained to you again. Alright? And that's like me telling you, dude, this is this, and I'm telling you this, and that's that. Alright? And you're going to say, alright, well, I'm going to take that with respect, and I'm going to figure it out myself. Alright? You got to do the same thing with women. Alright? And that's, and I'm only telling you this from experience. Alright? Me, I'm head over heels in love, and I'm telling you right now, I'm running on, going on 16 years. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I've always matched her energy in that 16 years. If she was on that bullshit, I was on that bullshit. You know what I mean? But
I totally get what you're coming from, but
right.
this goes a little deeper though again. Like,
Marco, it's
have
also
learned-
because of the pond you were fishing out of, and you have to realize that doesn't earmark all women across
It's
the
my
world.
turn. It's my turn. So listen, I was raised never trust a man. You always provide for yourself. You are the stronger vessel. Don't you ever depend on a man. That was how I was raised.
Right. I raised my daughters.
Now, so that's why it's funny, because that's how I was raised, but I don't look at it like that. And let me tell you why. I have been able to look at, yes, I have been a predator, and I've used men, and I've used my pussy as a weapon. Absolutely, fucking yeah.
Right.
Hell yeah, and I was good at it. But I also realized the other side of the coin. Women get abused by men, for sure. But what I realized was, and part of it was because of me doing it, men get manipulated and used by women just as fucking much, if not more, because we are fucking cunts.
And it's also partially socially acceptable to a certain point.
And it's okay, because if you have demolished this man, everyone around you is like, yeah! So, like, you're almost encouraged to wreck you.
Right.
But what I realized in all of the things that I've gone through is that there is a balance. And there is a strength that women hold.
Right.
That women, that males need. You guys need to feel important. Right. You need to feel like you're needed. You guys need to feel like you're in charge. Now, I ain't gonna lie. My mom played my dad so hard, it was like a fucking... she could have had like a WWE belt. Like, she was fucking of the world. Okay. But it was dirty. I've realized... Okay, Greg, I see you. You have a comment. I have realized that men, and especially the one that I have, you guys are loyal. You guys will fight to the death. You will stand up to anything if you feel like you have the backing of your woman.
There's a lot of girls out there that don't give a fuck about that.
They don't care about that. They don't understand the power they hold. They are fucking stupid.
Right.
Because it brings out the best part of the male persona. It brings out the best part of your dude.
Right.
When you support them, when you have them.
Right. So, again, I go back to my previous statement where I said, match each other's energy.
Right.
Right. But at the same time, you also, as an adult, you need to realize when you're wasting that fucking energy. You understand what I'm saying?
True.
So,
and the problem is with that.
That's where he gets money.
Right.
And that's
right now,
one of the
everything.
hardest
That's
part
why.
for a
That's
man
why.
that I noticed.
That's
100%.
why. That's
100%.
why.
I agree.
That's why right now everything is so fucking cloudy because we can't fight
Right.
for.
Is it someone you're supposed to invest in? Is it someone who has your back? Or is it someone
Right.
who's just fucking playing you? Because women have figured it out. And we play you like a fucking piano in the fucking...
One
The
thing I
best-
have
the
noticed
best-
though
the
about
best-
it,
We do it. We do
The
it.
best example
But-
of that is Marco. You remember every guy here knows. Watch the one or two really good dancers at the strip club. They might not even be great on the pole, but their conversation game is great, and they're the ones giving all the dances but not doing much dancing. They're
Right.
talking, they're getting free drinks, and they're getting 20 after
Figured it
20
out.
after 20.
Right.
They
Figured
figured
it
it
out.
out.
But here's the thing.
Here's something that I noticed.
You
about,
got-
wait a second, Rick. This is
Oh,
something I noticed about women.
Wait.
Like women
got-
are able to, no matter how bad they're hurt, no matter how bad somebody have done them wrong, they're able to move on. Men, and I'm sure every fucking one of us in here could attest to this, there is that one or two, no matter what, no matter how bad they treated them, no matter how much shit or whatever that got fed to them, they still, it is harder for a man to let go
No.
than a woman.
The women are better at pretending.
It doesn't matter.
Women, no.
He's
They
right.
don't let it go, really.
You don't
They don't
pretend
really
three
get
dicks in you.
They 100% are better at pretending, at fake it till you make it. Women are better
Not
at
anymore, honey.
fuck you didn't matter.
Yeah, women are better at fuck you didn't
You
matter
didn't
and
matter.
moving the fuck on.
While they're killing themselves. I'm
I-
telling you, that's how it is.
I don't see that.
I've only ever
And
had
you
one I
don't
couldn't.
see it because you're a man.
I've only ever had one I couldn't let go of, and I didn't.
There's been a couple that I couldn't let go of, and I mean, to this day, I'm in a situation where I'm like, single is pretty much the same thing as when I was not single. So we still kind of talk here and there. We still kind of got that same, but the relationship was so bad that even though I'm single right now, it's pretty much the same thing. Only, when I feel the need to go do whatever I want to do, I
A
go do
woman
it.
will be
wait,
dying
wait,
inside
wait.
and present
Wait,
paradise.
Wait.
Always.
I don't see that so much dying inside anymore.
In your goddamn mind state right now, you tell me how much of the problem you have right now is how much better I can do it than you can.
How much you can do it better?
No, not being motherfucker, because we ain't no relationship. I'm talking about your relationship.
How much I can do it better?
Right.
I
So in
see
other
where I
words,
went
now, let
wrong.
me break this down to you. In other words,
Okay.
I can go out and do this and get so many drinks from so many dudes, so many phone numbers, so many fucks, so many whatever.
See, that was never my real thing, though.
Right.
I'm just giving you
You're
a
perfect.
perspective. You understand what I'm saying?
Man, dick that
I
bitch
think-
down and she's yours forever.
No, not necessarily.
Wait,
No.
hey,
No.
Joyce,
Can't say
That's
that.
bullshit.
Joyce, I'm not there yet. Give me one, give me a minute,
Go ahead, get
That
there.
only lasts for so long.
Alright, so, how
So
many
to shower,
times
that's why you got to do it often.
did
Right.
these relationships go south because you had to do it better than what she did?
Yep.
Only one. Most of my relationships went south when I felt like, alright, I love this girl, so I'm gonna treat her better. No lie, every fucking one. Every fucking one. When I started doing, like, when I decided that I was gonna step it up out of that,
Alright, so
you
you're
know,
in
kind of
the
like,
first- alright,
I'm gonna
so
break down the wall and let you
your
through.
mindset right now is in the first 90 days of the fucking
No.
relationship.
No. as a female,
Yeah,
female wants to be dicked down, well, and to know everything's okay. Period. No matter what it takes to get there, dick down, everything's okay, stable.
I have found
Done.
that the dick down thing don't last very long.
Everything's stable.
The stable thing is what it is. The stable
Everything's
thing is
stable.
what it
It's
is.
fucking huge.
Because I ain't
Because
gonna
we
lie.
don't want sex when we're not feeling stable.
I done got
That's
left
Annoying.
for like
It's
some
annoying.
silly shit just because there was the stability or the whatever wasn't there. But again, I go back to what I said. Even before we came across them issues, when I have noticed if I step into any relationship or if I step into any booty or whatever, like a woman will tell you off rip what she wants, what she never had, the few things that is their main shit that they will always ask for. Like, for example, look, one female that I knew, again, she wanted to go on a date, she wanted roses, and she wanted, there was something else stupid.
Right.
And as long as I held all that back, she was mine. She did whatever the fuck I wanted, whatever. As soon as I started, thinking,
We're
all right,
hopeful
she
creatures.
deserves this or she deserves that. As soon as I did that, once the third thing came through, it was done. It was fucking done.
We're hopeful.
It was
And
done.
then once you cross all
Can
the
I
X's
interject?
and dot all the I's, we're like, oh, you're lacking.
Can I interject?
You're
one-
lacking though,
Can I-
so we're
can I-
out.
Can I interject one thing here though? Also, bro, I love you,
So
but
stop trying.
you have
Jesus
to
Christ.
look at the ponds that you fish out of, and maybe you should have changed the waters you were casting in.
Oh, I
And
have,
maybe
bro.
you would've
Stop.
found-
I have.
This is
I've learned the
females-
most shadiness from the better so-called ponds than from the hood ponds. I've learned more of how, especially men, are manipulated
For
through
sure.
the better ponds, the so-called more mature, whatever the fuck ponds,
We
than
manipulate
ever
more
of
than
the
you think.
bullshit ponds.
We manipulate men more than you think. Like women are evil. If you aren't actually providing their dream thing in their head, you're gonna get used. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is about our
That
species,
just goes back to men in
but
general.
it happens.
Men are the one
we're gonna use
animal
you.
on
We're
earth
gonna
that
fucking
does not
drag
get
you
unconditional
through.
love.
That is nature. Look.
We're gonna drag you through to see if you're worthy. To see if you're worthy. But the one that's worthy, oh my God, we're the most
problem
submissive
is
fucking.
You guys
Nah.
find a worthy motherfucker, and then you tell him that he is supposed to be in this other mold, and once he is in that other mold, he is no longer worthy. Perfect example. My last ex. I was a afro-headed, dreadlocked fucking thug when I met
Dude,
my
that's
ex.
not true.
And when I switched over, I changed that whole scenario. Now,
You
she
changed
claimed-
what she was looking for.
Well, no, I changed into what she
To-
claimed she
to
was looking
claim-
Doesn't
for.
Right.
matter what she claimed she was looking for because she thought that would bring her. See,
right,
that's exactly what
that's
I said
what I'm
earlier.
saying, that's what-
She thought when you changed it would bring her happiness in her mate.
She was
And
wrong.
The problem was
And
she
dude,
didn't
you
create her
should
own
never,
happiness.
you should
Exactly,
never change
exactly.
you to find who you're supposed to be
But
with.
the problem is
You're
that's
not.
what most
No.
women try to do to people.
I know.
Yeah, and that is what that I'll
And we
fix him
suck.
thing is about.
We suck. Women, you suck.
Because
Because
when I
seriously,
was that
stop it.
thug that didn't give a fuck and did undesirable
You had
shit,
potential.
She fucking I had potential.
You had
But once
potential.
I became that adult that could handle his own, then I was a piece of shit.
Then she couldn't fucking actually
She didn't have
run the
area to
show.
manipulate you and control you.
She had run
No,
the show.
she manipulated it in other ways.
Of course she did.
And
Female.
that's what
And this
goes
is the
into
thing.
the psychological thing that
Not-
most men are not allowed to even talk about.
You're right. But this is what I'm going to tell you. Dudes. The emotions, the psychological thing, that's where you need to roll. Like, rule. That's where you need to step in, put your foot down, and fucking take control of this bullshit.
Yeah, but
Females don't really want to be in control.
There's an age
Females
thing
want
involved in it, though.
females don't want to be in control. Then we respect it. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're calling them like in the middle of sex. You're calling shut up.
No. I've
In the
seen
middle
more
of sex,
more
stop.
females who would rather have control than
Marco.
respect.
No, that's because they don't understand yet.
Grown ass women, and that's why I say there's
Yeah.
an age limit on
They
a lot of
don't
what you're
understand
saying.
it. They don't understand respect and control. Motherfucker, bitch, they'll come along, and if they don't understand it, they're not willing. You don't need to fucking.
If you're a 40 plus woman and you don't understand that shit, you're doing it because you're doing it, and it ain't none of that.
If
You
you're
can
a
teach
40
that to
plus
a
woman
youngin'.
and you don't understand the difference between attention and fucking respect, then you need to go to fucking counseling, motherfucker. Because that shit is where it's at. You deserve respect. You deserve.
I totally agree with that. But
A-
as
100%.
soon as you start fucking giving women respect, that is the fucking issue, and I don't know why. I don't get that. I don't. You know, I love women. I will never put.
We all know.
I am a firm believer that I will never put a woman ahead of me, but you will always be my equal. And even if you are second in my eyes, there will be nobody else besides me that will have more.
And if, oh my
You know,
God, and if
nobody else
women
will have
knew,
more than you.
and if women knew, like seriously knew in their core.
As soon as they do know, that's when they start fucking the whole team.
No, they don't. No, they don't. That's all.
In my
Nope,
experience, that's
nope,
when the whole team
nope,
gets
that
fucked.
is not your experience. That's insecurity. That's
No, I
fear.
wish it was that easy. Oh my God, I wish it was that easy.
No,
You know how
baby,
many
no.
ugly fat bitches I
No.
fucked because of my
I don't
insecurity?
give a fuck about your fat bitches. I'm telling you right now, if you are a woman, I don't care if you're skinny and a size 0, negative, whatever, or a 16, 18 plus, whatever. If you are a woman and you know what you bring to the table, there is not insecurity. There is power.
In a woman,
There's
I totally agree.
power.
In a man, like there's men that have have the whole table. Not only do they own the table, but they own the dinner that's going on the table. But you're right, they have the insecurity because of a female. So I
Agreed.
totally get that part.
So,
Agreed. You ain't
listen.
trying to tiptoe in
No,
this shit.
No, and the reason why that comes about is because they want, again, they want one thing, but they want to change it into another, and when they change it into another, they're like, nah, fuck you.
Dude, bitches, I don't like the way I look all the time. I don't fucking like the way I look on video. I don't fucking like taking selfies. But motherfucker, I know what I bring to the table when it comes to fucking actually getting into it. Like, what is wrong with you? Stop it. Stop your fucking insecurities. Realize who you are and what you actually bring to the table. And start being positive with it. This is some bullshit.
That's
that's my
female's
point.
end, though.
Hey. But that I am
Because
a female.
no matter what that man brings to the table, there's another man with the table.
100%.
Now, for a man,
100%.
for a man,
You're right.
what a lot of women don't realize is that even though a man might have a lot of bitches wanting to eat at that table,
Sure.
there's only one woman that he wants at that table.
Absolutely.
And if that woman is not at that table, he will destroy his kingdom just to get that woman at that table.
Absolutely.
No matter how many, he may, I gotta get a nut, so I'm gonna go do this, but I don't give two fucks about you. I will give up nothing for you, but I will give up the world for her. You know what I'm saying?
So why?
So it's just in a man's nature. Whereas a woman will be like, all right, well, I've tried this table 4 or 5 times. It's not giving me the food that I want. I'm going to find a new table. It may be hard on me to go find that new table, but I'm going to find a new table. But when a man wants somebody at that table, then that's it. You know, and I'm in that situation. I want one particular person at my table. I have plenty of people who are way more worthy to be eating with me, even to have their own tables, but that doesn't mean shit because I want this one person at my table.
Okay, so
no matter how much I fucking have, you know, like I get degraded or I, you know, get told my table isn't worthy, that one person I want at my table, and I would give my kingdom for that, which don't make fucking sense, but that's just the way it is. Whereas, like I said, a woman, once they get tired of whatever food, or if they don't get served what they wanted, they'll go find another table.
I
But
agree.
as a woman,
I agree with you to a certain extent.
then you need to stay with it. Then you need to fucking not. You need to fucking
Think about it. Let Brad talk.
be.
All right,
Okay.
so as far as fucking relationships go, apparently I've been going about it all wrong because I can't find the right woman that won't fucking cheat on me.
Women
Well-
are assholes.
Listen,
Sorry.
all right,
Assholes.
so people naturally gravitate towards what they grew up with, right?
Sometimes, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
basically, my dad abused my mom. My brother abused his first whatever up until his current wife.
Okay.
And I never saw relationships that way. I never saw it as you beat her, she'll do what you want, basically,
Okay, that's a good
in a roundabout way. You know what I'm saying? Because people learn think for them fucking selves,
Just gotta know when and where
and
to
I
do
just I never got into any of that. Well, I
Never stopped
don't.
to ask for a titty.
Stop. No.
I'm talking abusive.
I know.
Yeah. No.
And it's one of them things where I've been in an abusive relationship. I had a girlfriend put a fucking butcher knife through a fucking bathroom door,
Oh,
you know,
wait.
after me. Throwing fucking plates at me and shit.
I mean, Mike
Breaking
Tyson
all
left
over the
hooks and taken
house.
on the drive home.
How many drive shots you had through the window?
No.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, that I understand
Right,
it's
you get it.
a thing people do. I understand that there's certain girls that'll stay with a guy like that, you know what I'm saying? But that's wrong in my eyes. Either way, on, you know, the woman's part or the man's part, to be in
You
an
know what you do?
abusive relationship.
I'm gonna tell you right now. You know what you do? You keep trying to change yourself to satisfy the woman. You don't actually give all of you or who you are. So when it's gone a couple minutes, like, you don't get along. You don't fucking match. But it's exactly because you hold yourself back. Stop
Well,
it.
That sounds
Why-
like me
Stop
and
it.
Okay.
Fucking stop
Why
it.
would the man have to change for the woman? Why
Don't.
can't the women stop being fucking whores?
100%, I agree with you. Don't be a fucking whore. I am not a whore. And I'm a woman. But I want what I want. So, if you were out there dating and you were not being who you are, we're gonna match. We're not gonna fucking mesh. It's not gonna work. So stop trying to be who you think they want, because women are fucking stupid. Right?
No,
Especially
it's the
right
problem.
fucking now.
It's the problem when I'm totally 100% myself, and then they still want to try and change you,
Then they're not the right one, man.
and then
It's
you do
okay.
shit to please them, but then when you ask them to do something to
Dude, it's
please
okay to
you,
One, but it's
you're
everyone
fucking out.
Because he's going through the same shit
Okay.
that I did. And he's
You
a
gotta
better
wait.
boyfriend.
You gotta fucking. Then they're not the one. You gotta wait for the one because there is one.
Okay.
There is no.
No,
fucking
bullshit.
shut up and look
You,
at me.
you don't wait
There
for the one
is a
because...
fucking-
There's a bunch of
What?
ones.
Yeah, because if I'd have waited for the one, then I'd still be a virgin.
That's bullshit.
No, that's not necessarily.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
No, it's not.
No, it isn't.
It's
There's
100%
bullshit.
fact.
There's a fucking.
Is what the
female.
fuck it is.
You want to just
You know
fuck?
what?
You want
I
to just
don't
fuck
find
for
the
sure.
one, but you
No.
know
What
what?
you're saying.
There's times
No.
where I just need it cuddled, and she ain't the
Oh
one,
my
but I
God.
need somebody to fucking
You're
cuddle with me.
full of shit. Okay,
Exactly.
Cool. You want to just cuddle? Cool, cuddle. You want to have an actual relationship? Then stop selling for bitches
Yeah,
that
and
aren't even
that's
about
why
you.
She's saying-
that's
she's
why
saying
I never
that-
cheat on a girl that I'm with because
No.
I want a fucking relationship.
No, of course not. No, cheating.
That's
is
why
bad,
I was in a
blah, blah,
relationship
blah.
for 13
You
fucking
know,
years with a
fucking
girl that
cheat.
cheated on me the last 4.
Okay, and let me tell you this right now. As a female, the first time she cheated on you, fucking leave. I'm sorry you love her.
I found
I'm
out about
sorry
it.
There's shit. I'm sorry there's things that made you
I found
stay.
out about it 4
As a
years after
female-
it happened.
As a female, you fucking leave.
As a
You're
female.
worth more than that.
What do you mean, as a female, you fucking?
As a
As a
fucking
female-
Oh,
female.
as a female, you're telling from a female's opinion.
You just got
you're telling
cheated
the
on.
man to
You
leave. Okay.
fucking leave.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
he-
what the
Because
fuck
a
did he just say to
female-
It
you?
went 4 years before he.
Not-
What did
not
he just
always
say
that
to you?
easy, though.
But a female that's going to.
I was with her for
You're right,
13
it's
years.
not always that.
She cheated on me the last 4. I found out about it after the 4 years had already happened.
She
Right,
did what
right.
she did.
Brad?
You know, I kind of had to suck it up.
And I tried to make it work still.
I know you did. Which absolutely should prove
Trust me, brother. I understand
she's
having to
not
just suck it
about.
up
She's
and get
not
over
about.
some
She's
shit.
not about what you're about.
Because
Yeah, no
She's
shit.
not actually for you.
what you know.
Yeah, no
you know what
shit.
I mean?
So you
But what
need
what
to
was it
realize
about the
It's
before
worth
that
dealing
though?
with for what you,
She's a
you know,
bitch.
what you
She's
can
a
make out of
fucking cunt ass whore. I don't know. She's a fuck,
it. And on that note,
and that's not you.
getting
That's
close-
on
yeah, let's-
her.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to take a break, and we will be right back.
Cody, 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 Cody.
And we are we back? Are we back? I got the little ear wiggle.
Back.
Welcome back.
All right. So,
Hey, what's up?
we are going to...
Wow.
I was
go back to
excited.
originally
Did
what
not
the
expect
show
that,
was
though.
About.
Oh,
We went
damn.
off on a tangent. But we're going to talk about these gas prices. And not only the gas prices...
They suck. Especially the fucking,
Horrible. Awful.
was it the diesel prices? Fucking,
God.
no, listen, the more fucked up thing is me and the dude I work for went out to the shop at fucking 9 o'clock this morning.
Great.
4:11 for
Keep going.
That is
411. I'm
411,
listening.
go ahead.
4:11 for diesel on the way out there this morning.
Yeah.
1 o'clock on the way home. 4:40 something.
Holy hell. And that's diesel. And those people, those are the trucks. Those are the people.
Yeah, they bring us all our shit.
They keep us alive. They are the ones providing for our shit.
Providing the boats can get in the dock to fucking load them.
Well, speaking of the trucks, and this is something like we have tried our damnedest to try to organize it. It just hasn't happened. Life fucking happens. But the Freedom Convoy, that is being so suppressed right now. So suppressed.
And how amazing
I
is
mean,
that?
I've been doing my damnedest. to
They're
do
in
research,
Baltimore right now.
And the last time I looked at anything, it was only maybe a handful of fucking truckers. Today, when I dug deeper into it, there are a couple thousand truckers out there,
Right?
And the DC police are, trying to find some way to deter the.
You
Wait
ready
a
to
minute,
load up
wait.
and go down tomorrow like we've been talking about doing?
I'm
Bum,
totally,
bum, bum.
I'm totally fucking.
Listen.
Yeah, I'm thinking about this might be something we have to do.
Do it.
no matter what.
Do it because really,
Somebody just rent
We
me the
are-
goddamn van and let me go do it. Like, I'll go.
listen, we are as a people executing our Second Amendment rights, which what we were all talking about. Shit. That you're right. So that we can say what we want to say about the oppressive
Those are-
government.
Right.
Right?
First Amendment.
First, okay.
I know, it's been a long night. You just stumbled over your words. I was only refreshing you.
I appreciate it. But what are we accomplishing? What's happening?
That's my problem.
What are we
And-
doing?
And you know what? Like, I brought this kind of conundrum to Jared, and this is another thing that kind of like we need to get down
I'm
there
getting ready to just hop on a
at
Greyhound,
least
bro.
for a day or two, because the truckers, the few bits and pieces that we are getting from the reports, this has gone way past the mandates. This has nothing to do with the mandates. But they're not really letting out what it's really about. And the fact that all these other authorities are trying to like totally subvert this whole issue makes me more intrigued. And this whole war thing, yeah, it's a big importance, but that's overseas. We got something happen right here on our soil.
Exactly.
So, and again, this goes back to that Second Amendment thing.
100%.
Because if you look back, if you take a view from another country, these truckers would be considered a militia.
Yes.
And being that they should have the right in that fucking realm to do what they do.
I think it's a little
You know,
stretch to call
we
these
have-
guys a militia when there's an actual
Wrong.
definition.
Well,
They're going
there's a
forth
definition for protesters, but
But that's not a
Against-
militia, they're protesters.
No,
I'm
they
looking
are.
at-
They're
for-
protesting what's happening.
But that's not a militia. A militia.
Why is it not?
By because it's a word. It has an actual definition.
right, and he's right. But what I'm saying is, from a broad outside perspective,
They're just protesters, not a militia. There's a difference.
if
Hold up.
the way our government is putting it out there, these people are doing more than just protesting. And again, in that militia right, they have more right to do what they're doing than they
What
do
are they
as
doing more than
protesters,
protesting, and what are they doing that qualifies them as a militia?
according to reality or the media. Because according to the media, they're disrupting all kind of shit, and that's what gives them the right to call the reserves and to call the DC police to do shit.
But that doesn't mean
But
the
as
other
far
group
as-
is a militia. Yes.
Okay,
I understand
so-
what you're saying, but you're just bringing up a term and like trying to coin it, and it's not fitting. It's not proper.
The
It's not
actual
right.
definition of a militia is there's two parts. The first one agrees with Jared that says a militia force that is raised from the civil population to supplement a regular army and in an emergency. The next actual definition though is that all able-bodied civilians eligible by law for military service.
Right, that's like the draft and stuff.
Yeah.
That's how the government can raise their militia is by draft.
Exactly.
A military force that engages in rebel or terrorist activities in opposition to a regular army.
And that's
That's
what they are.
that's
other
going
That's
against
what
the
they're
army.
portraying these truckers at.
I haven't seen that at all. All the
I have,
even in
and
the
that's
liberal
why I
media,
said
no one has shown them as
And
a
here's the thing.
military force.
If
No,
we
they
are
show them as
that's
a
what the
terrorist or an insurrectionist force.
And this is where it's misleading, because in one aspect it's saying
They're still
for the
just
government,
protesters.
in another aspect it's saying against the government.
They have no military markings. They're not carrying weapons. They're not. This
That
is not a
isn't the only
militia.
thing. That the military part of it is not the only part of it, though.
It truly is. It's what the
No,
fucking
it
word
says
means.
military
I hate
or.
having to argue
There is
fucking
an or
elementary
in
school
there.
shit with people.
Is there not an or in there? There are two different definitions there,
And
Jared.
both of them are about military.
No, there is
that
not.
part isn't cut out.
The military part says or, dude. And the
Milita-
whole part is the same thing we believe in. The same the protests that are allowed. What is being portrayed as they are terrorists, they are insurrectionists, they are going against the government. So, in them terms, that is a militia, whether it is a military thing or not.
No.
And when we go back to what we talked about earlier, the militia was not a trained people. It was not a military people. It was people from different places who were going and doing what the government wanted them to do.
and was protected and allowed to do that under the Second Amendment.
So, again, I totally understand
Truth.
what you're saying in the whole military thing. But the way our fucking media pushes it out, and which is reflected in our government, is that these people will be considered a militia,
Right.
but they will not have the rights that a so-called militia has.
Right.
They will be considered insurrectionists
I
or
hear your
terrorists.
words. You show me where that is actually
And 100%,
happening.
I agree.
You're the
I
only one who's
agree.
referred to the truckers as a militia.
100% right now, I agree with Marco, because what did we do in response of their so-called peaceful
They shut down access roads, they put up fences, and they added fucking
right,
military.
protest? Thank you. Their peaceful protest was met with shutting down roads, shutting down. They were not able to access.
Military was deployed before anything
Not
else.
even
Were the students
military.
in Kent State who were shot by the National Guard a militia?
Are we
They were probably
actually
considered
talking
that.
Were they a
about?
militia?
No,
Yes
but
or
they
no?
were considered
Then
that.
neither are the truckers, because they're the same thing. They walked around carrying signs and speaking, and they were fired on
You
by
are
the National Guard. So just because
seriously-
the National Guard comes in,
The people who were
doesn't mean-
protesting on the 6th are considered insurrectionists when they were just protesters.
100%.
Exactly.
You're wrong. You are talking about things that, yes, they did protest and they were met with force. That is what we're talking about. We're talking about the Second Amendment and our right to meet against a tyrannical government, which is what we obviously have. And they are being met with force. That's not okay.
Right, but
Because
they're not a
the
militia
government
just
has
because they
an
are met with
army.
force.
They are a militia because they are a group that's going against the
Right.
norm.
By definition, they are not a militia, but by media, they will be considered that.
I want to
Yes.
know
And
which
if this
media
happened
outlet is
20
calling
years
them a
ago,
militia.
they would
That's
be
all I'm
called them a
asking.
gang.
I'm just asking you to tell me which which media outlet you saw call them a militia.
A militia
CNN,
is diagnosed
MSNBC.
and,
All right.
and
I'm going to look that up because I don't
says
think it happened.
is a military
Marco,
force
are you saying
that is
fake news?
raised from the civil
No, I'm saying what-
population
Military
Said by-
force.
to
Yeah, CNN is fake
supplement
news.
a regular army in an emergency.
So where does that make
That
the
is
truckers a militia?
That's the first definition, correct?
Correct.
Now read the second definition again because
Yeah.
apparently Jared didn't get it.
A military force that engages in rebel or terrorist activities in opposition to a regular army.
So
where is- in this
against
situation,
the
where is
government's
a
army,
military force
right?
From civil
I think I get
population?
where Jared is coming from. He's saying that because of that definition, it's saying that it has to be a military.
Otherwise,
force
they
of
are
truckers.
protesters.
But again, the way shit gets
And
switched
this falls
around,
under the First Amendment,
Yeah.
not the Second.
protesters get called so many things just depending on whose side they're on.
But how are you supposed to oppose what's happening if you're not?
Right, because when you become the opposition, you are a
Correct.
militia against the government.
You're not a
Correct.
militia unless you're armed. These people are not armed.
I don't know about that.
It says a military force that engages in rebel or
A
terrorist
military
activities.
force.
Doesn't say
What
they were
does that
armed
mean?
though.
That doesn't mean that they have to be armed.
Yeah.
They're not a military force. They're not trained. There's nothing about them identifying them in any type of
Dude,
military anything.
They called the Proud Boys a militia. They called whatever that. What was that black BLM
and it didn't
group
stick,
that
and it didn't, and
held
nothing
it-
happened to them. Like they tried to, but it didn't stick. Just because they try doesn't mean they are right.
Again, like I said, it is the media who is pushing that narrative.
And
Yeah.
I am looking for
And
where
with
that,
that
happened.
media pushing that narrative, the fucking government just goes hand in hand.
Now I
nowadays.
see where they've called them, where they've said it is where their acts are acts of sedition. I see here where they call them all kinds of things, but I have yet to find anywhere
Okay.
where any news outlet is
So-
calling them a militia.
A military, also known collectively as armed forces, is a heavily armed, highly organized force primarily intended for warfare. It is typically authorized and maintained by a sovereign state with its members identifiable by their distinct military uniform. It may consist of one or more military uniform. It may such as an Army, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, Marines, or Coast Guard. The main task of the military is usually defined as defense of the state and its interests against external armed threats.
Everywhere in any definition that we've read of a militia, though, it requires there to be some type of military resemblance, and there is none.
That's not true. Military
Now,
is
militias,
a
now, U.S. militias have gone in protest and supported the truckers. They've been there with their signs in their uniforms. They are present.
military in its definition is in a support of domestic
Right, but the whole
Yeah.
thing was it was trained, it was armed, they were uniformed, that's the entire definition you read kept
Right,
further making the rift between these truckers and a militia.
What
even
made
bigger.
the difference is when you talk about the definition of the militia doesn't have to be trained. They don't have to be organized. They don't have to add any of that. The only thing that kind of
I do agree.
like made them both together was that wording that a military, if you take just that first piece, that military word out of that definition, it's everything they're calling these truckers. It's everything they're calling any of these protesters.
It's fine, but they're not a militia. If you take the hydrogen out of H2O, you don't have water,
I
motherfucker.
totally understand that, but that is what most people don't get, and that is what is being fed by the media. So, I mean,
I'm still waiting to, like, I've just done my own bit of research. I went straight to CNN.
it's in there. Just like, do they say on CNN that, who is the big famous gay reporter, the white dude with kind of, like, the side hair? The fuck is his name? On CNN. He is like, beyond Don Lemon, he is like the face of CNN. There is...
Not Tucker Carlson, that's Fox.
No, that's Fox.
That's the small penis guy.
Oh, wow.
Well, anyways, the whole point of that is CNN will not tell you that that dude was doing Ukrainian like interviews and shit and did a whole show on how to make Molotov cocktails. I watched it. I'm like, no fucking way this cat could be doing this shit. Yeah, I fucking watched it with my own eyes. So, again, the whole point of it all is the way media twist shit to change the whole appearance in people's eyes.
You know what the whole point of it all is? Actually, yes, media does their thing to convince us of what their best interest is. So does government. The whole point of it all is the American person, the each individual person who's sitting down, listening to everything and deciding on what exactly their opinion is. Because is it okay for whether they are our neighbor or not? Is it okay for this country to violate this country in the name of whatever they deem righteous?
Well, see, I think that goes back to the education thing that we were talking about. Because at the end of the day,
But
right or wrong,
it's not just about our kids.
It goes to what's going to be written in history because history sets
You're
precedent.
right. You're right. But
So
it's not just about
no
our
matter
kids.
what shady shit we've done, no matter where,
You're right.
as long as we could say this happened and this is the way it happened, then we could pass that bullshit along.
You're right.
And
Because
that goes-
are we, as American people, okay with this is how other countries are treating other countries? Are we okay with that? Or do we not give a shit? Because really, that's what it's about.
Well, old school thing is we don't give a shit. Now, lately, we started to give a
Right?
shit, or we started to act like we give a shit. But at the end of the day, again, when your grandkids are going to school or doing homeschooling or whatever, they're going to look at history and they're not going to see a fucking thing that we've talked about.
Right.
They're going to
Depends on
look
who
at
wins.
this whole Ukrainian thing, no matter who
Right.
wins or loses, as a skirmish. They're going to look at, whatever happened. They won't talk about any of the bullshit that happened in Saudi Arabia
Right.
to start the war. They won't
Who
show
cares?
any of the American atrocities or whatever. They're going to show America went in as a peaceful whatever, and we took
Yeah,
care
they're
of
not
whatever.
going to show
the fuck.
what we did to put this current leader of
Right,
Ukraine
right.
into power in the first
So,
place.
who
Right.
cares about McDonald's? Who cares about Burger King? Who cares about any of that? What do you think is actually fucking right? Because that is what America should fucking move on.
I
Because
agree,
we're
that's what we
American.
should move on, but that is not what we'll move on.
We won't, though.
We will follow the McDonald's.
And
we
that's
will
where-
follow the whatever the hell else.
That's where you need to think about Where is your America? And who did you vote
Our
for?
generation
And what are we doing?
don't believe in that. Our
Right.
kids are half and half, but their kids and their fucking grandkids will be totally opposite of what we think right now. So, with that being said, make sure you check us out at the Wick Yards this Saturday night. If you feel like it, come check me out performing at the East Side Civics. You bounce back and forth, but take your ass to the Wick Yard. And we will have more fucking live shows to come with. Check out fucking Vinyl Thursday tomorrow with Brad and Ralph. Full Album Friday with Greg and Scotty. And y'all be safe tonight, y'all.
Right? We say what you want to say. So, tune in. That's what I'm telling you. Love you, though.